Without any further delay, let me hand over to our presenter, Aaron Lord. He is part of the customer success team at D5 Render. He'll be taking us through a high-level demo of the capabilities of this real-time rendering software. Over to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Matthew, and welcome everyone. So for today, again, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Aran Laude. I am D5's Global Customer Success Manager, and I will showcase today all of the features inside D5 Render and how you can integrate it with ArchiCAD. So with this, let me now start with today's agenda for the demo. So the first part would be just a quick DeFi render overview followed by a demo. And as Matthew has mentioned earlier, we will be having some Q&A later on. So I'll quickly introduce first D5 Render. So D5 is a real-time rendering software mainly for architects and designers. Also, it is the first renderer with integrated AI features that will significantly reduce the time spent in your overall workflow. We also have seamless synchronization with ArchiCAD, Revit, SketchUp, and many more. We also have very good optimal time to quality ratio. We're also the top choice for industry leading firms such as ADAS, KPF, and many more. And as for G2, we are the best architectural rendering software. So here are some of the samples that has been done by our community render. So it varies from interior design, landscape, and architecture altogether. So with this, let me now present to you the features inside D5 Render. So the first feature that I wanted to showcase to you is what we call D5 Live Sync. So D5 Live Sync is compatible with the mainstream modeling tools such as ArchiCAD, Rhino, Revit. So any of the traditional and also most common 3D modeling software, D5 has got it covered. So what the Live Sync does is it allows us to utilize our 3D modeling software while also viewing our rendering or our visualization, wherein any change that we're going to make within our 3D model will be instantly reflected back to D5 Render, which ensures us there will be no loss in data during the transmission. We do also have a very large asset library. So we have more than 14,000 plus high quality assets ranging from materials, models, and characters, and many more. You can also easily build the scene in seconds. So if you are into landscape design, you can utilize the following tools such as the D5 Scatter, wherein it is a PCG driven tool where all you need to do is just drag and click and the vegetation will be instantly applied to your scene. We also have some section tool, which will help you create a beautiful presentation overall. And with this, we also have a very good environment and effect parameters, wherein for the weather system, you can accurately recreate any weather settings that you wanted to in order to showcase the best of your output. We also have a good lighting system, which contributes to the overall look and feel to the realism of what our output will be looking at. And with this, if you also are into animation, we have one-click animation templates. This is really easily for effortless 3D visualizations, which will give you an edge to your competition as well. And as for the main features inside D5 Render, since we are AI-driven, real-time rendering software, we do have a lot of AI features, which helps us for a smarter and faster 3D visualization overall. And later on, I will be demonstrating how they work and how you can easily integrate them onto your workflow. So this is an example of what a D5 AI-powered workflow is. So in a traditional sense, there will be no AI, but with the help of D5, you can significantly reduce the overall workflow on your end. So you can save up to 80% of the time spent in doing the design and also the visualization. So first, we have the conceptual design. So with the help of D5 High, which is currently under beta, so all you need to do is just upload your blank 3D model, just an image, and D5 High will help you and also give you some conceptual design which will aid you in what kind of output or design you wanted to have. So the
So the
next part
next
would
part
be
would
the
be the
project
project
design,
design,
which
which
is the
is the
D5 Live
D5
Sync,
Live
which
Sync, which
allows us
allows
the
us the
3D
3D
modeling and
modeling and
drawing all
drawing all
together.
together.
And once
And
you have
once you
done the
have done the
project
project
design,
design,
just once you have
once you
done the
have done the
project
project
design, you can
design, you
now
can now
also
also
proceed to the
proceed to the
material and
material and
texture
texture
assignment,
assignment,
wherein with the
wherein with
help
the
of
help of
AI
AI
features,
features,
you can
you
now
can now
recreate
recreate
materials
materials
without the
without
need
the
for
need
you
for you
to
to
looking for
looking
high
for high
quality
quality
materials all
materials all
across the
across the
internet.
internet.
And number
And
four,
number
you can
four, you
also
can
use
also use
D5's asset
D5's asset
assignment,
assignment,
wherein with the
wherein
tools
with the
such as the
tools such
text
as
to
the text to
3D,
3D,
it will help
it
you
will help you
create
create
custom 3D
custom 3D
objects
objects
altogether.
altogether.
And finally, the last two parts, which is the lighting
The
and
lighting and
environment
environment
setting.
setting.
With the help of AI Atmosphere Match, it will significantly reduce the time spent in changing all of the parameters. So it will take less than a minute to do all of the parameters. And once you have done that, we're now onto the post-production side, wherein we have a lot of post-production features which will help eliminate third-party softwares for post-production. So without further ado, let me now showcase to you D5 Live Sync and also D5 AI powered workflow. So with this live demo, I'll be showcasing how ArchiCAD works with D5 using the Live Sync, how to easily create your own scene, and also the rendering outputs in AI post-processing. So with this, let us now go to ArchiCAD. So I do have here a sample completed project in ArchiCAD, wherein all we need to do in order to connect the D5 render is just download the plugin, and once you have it installed, all you need to do is just select the D5 icon to be connected to D5, and once you have connected to D5, you can now go to D5 and it will transfer all of your 3D models, materials, and also all of the information from your ArchiCAD object. And another unique functionality about the LiveSync plugin is, for example, if we are using two monitors or a large monitor, we can have ArchiCAD on the left side and D5 on the other side. So with this, any change that I'm going to make will be instantly reflected. Any movements I'll be doing will also be reflected. And for cases wherein if I have some design options, for example, so with this project, I do have some design options. So with the facade, I have multiple options. So what I can do is all I need to do is just double click on the facade one camera. It will also be transmitted to D5. So for design option 2, just select the other option. It will also be reflected back. And finally, just another facade option as well, which is the facade 3 camera, which will also be reflected. So any settings or any views and cameras I have created in my ArchiCAD will be instantly reflected back to D5 render once I have selected it. And since this project in ArchiCAD is already finished and I don't want to go back and forth, what I can do next is just transfer out all of the camera or the scenes that I have created from ArchiCAD. All I need to do is just select the sync camera option. And what it will do is, if we go back to D5 render, it will transfer out all of the camera positions we have in ArchiCAD straight back to D5 render. And I can now just focus my whole screen to D5. I can go back and forth to any camera position that I have added in from my ArchiCAD to D5 render. So this will significantly save you a lot of time going back and forth from your 3D modeling software back to D5 itself. And if I have also done in the camera lighting options or the lighting options inside my ArchiCAD, and I don't want to manually redo this inside D5 render, I can just select the sync light and it will also transfer out the light options inside my ArchiCAD straight back to D5 render. And if I don't want to add in lights from my ArchiCAD, I can just easily add lights inside D5 render itself. So that is the live sync functionality inside D5 render, wherein any change that I'm going to make within my ArchiCAD will be reflected back to D5 without data being lost. So with this, let us now proceed and focus to D5 render. So with D5 Render, let me briefly also introduce the user interface. The user interface inside D5 might look overwhelming at first, but do not worry, it is actually very intuitive and also user friendly. Can primarily divide the user interface into four areas, wherein we have our middle part, which is the viewport. So what you see on your viewport is what your final output is going to look like. So this is the power of real-time rendering solution. And if we compare this to the traditional 3D rendering softwares, it takes hours and hours of end if you were to change any position or any scene altogether. But with real-time rendering solution, we can get it within a few seconds, or as I've said, just real time. So the next part would be the top area. Wherein with the top area, we can freely import our very own 3D objects. We can also utilize our asset library. As I've mentioned earlier, we have more than 14,000 plus different kinds of high quality assets. Wherein all we need to do in order to apply all of these assets onto our scene, all we need to do is just select which one we wanted to use and select onto the corresponding material to my D5 scene altogether. And if I wanted to add in custom 3D models as well, such as characters, for example, I can easily just select one and place it onto my scene. So for this example, I wanted to select this businessman and have it placed onto my scene with a click of a button as well. So it's all a matter of just dragging, click and drag to your scene altogether. So that is the asset library. And let's now proceed to the asset placement tools. Also, I've said earlier, if you don't want to create your custom lights inside ArchiCAD, you can freely do so inside D5 Render, which will make your ArchiCAD model a lot more lighter. And you can focus the lightings inside D5, wherein you can create lights, spotlights, strip lights, and also rectangular lights altogether. Can also create custom moving characters, vehicles, and animals if you are into animation. We do also have a lot of vegetation tools such as the brush, scatter, and path tool, and some other asset placement tools. And on the top right side, we have our exportation tools such as the image exportation and also the video animation exportation. So with this is the top part. And on the third part of the user interface, we have our left side here. We're in our scene list where I just quickly sync my ArchiCAD cameras onto D5 scene list. So I can easily create a new one by selecting the add scene. And once created, it will be instantly stored to my scene. And I can easily just select it and go back and forth with multiple scenes. And if I wanted to make some adjustments onto my scene, for example, I wanted the view to be this area, all I need to do is just select the update scene and it will instantly be updated as well. Below the scene list, we have our layer tab. So for instances, as I've mentioned earlier, if you wanted to create lights, we can create a custom layer for lighting, also another custom layer for vegetation. So you can create as many layers as you want, toggling them on and off to make our workflow a little bit more lighter. And finally, the last part of the user interface, which is on the right side, we have our environments and effect, wherein all of these settings contributes to what our final output is going to look like. And if we make some adjustment into these sliders, it will instantly reflect back to D5 render. So we can change the environment using geo and sky, custom daylight, and custom nighttime. And also we can utilize HDRI backgrounds. So with D5, we have a lot of HDRI backgrounds that you can easily and freely use. But if you have your very own, you can freely import your own as well. And finally, the last part, which is the effects tab. We're in with the effects tab, we have access to the post processing. So with the post processing, there's a lot of sliders that will contribute to what our final output is going to look like. So with this post processing option, it gives us the flexibility and also the freedom to adjust what our output will going to look like. So with this, the user interface of D5 Render may be overwhelming at first, but do not worry. With all of these parameters within our reach, we can now easily and beautifully create a render in no time. So with this, let us now proceed on the AI workflow and also the AI features inside D5 Render and how we can easily create a beautiful render inside D5. So the first part, which is the scene setup. So what I like to do is just assign and align my camera position. So with my camera position, I'll just create a new scene, which will be the scene 34, and just toggle in the edit camera. So selecting the edit camera will allow us to open the inspector tab, wherein we can adjust multiple parameters as well. So I wanted to create a 3:4 aspect ratio, so I can just select the aspect ratio tab, go over to the 3:4, and it will create me a black bar altogether. Adjust my focal length to have it onto the 50 millimeter focal length, and just turn on the 2-point perspective mode, which is F8 or P. And since I have already created my camera position, all I need to do now is just update my scene, and I already got this set up. So since I've set up my camera and my scene positions, let us now fill our scenes with custom vegetations and also custom materials. So the first part is filling our scene with vegetation. So there are multiple ways in order for us to fill in our scene with vegetation. So we can just go to the assets and to the model, just select the nature tab. So we have more than 4,000 plus high quality 3D models. And I can just select one and place it directly to my scene. Let me just reselect and place it onto my scene, which will take me a very long time. Alternatively, I can also use what we call the brush tool, which is not very accurate, and also the path tool, which will also save me a lot of time. So if I were to add in some broadleaf options, for example, this tree over here using the path tool, I can just go back and forth, create a path altogether. So it's a little bit faster, but it's not fast enough. So with D5's exclusive feature, which is the scatter tool, it will help you build your scene within a few seconds. So all we need to do is just go onto the asset placement area, just select the add scatter. So we can choose from our templates. Since we wanted to add a lot of trees, I'll select the forest options. And once I have selected the forest option, it will open the D5 render assets and go under the scatter templates or the scatter presets. So with this, I'll just select any template or preset that I wanted. So I'll be selecting Aerial Broadleaf Forest 1 and choose the material where I wanted my trees to be populated. And with a few clicks of a button, I can now have some vegetation and trees to my scene. I can also make some adjustments by selecting the sub area 0 and make it a lot more dense to have a lot more scene onto my overall project. So that is how easy it is to populate our scene with custom 3D objects. So again, we can also utilize our very own selections. So all we need to do is just create custom scatter, select the material. So I will be selecting this another grass patch over here, press create. What it will do is it will create a lot of small squares where in each individual square will contain the asset that we are going to choose. So for this one, all we need to do is just select the nature category and choose any vegetation that we want. I'll go back to the broadleaf, select the tree that I have placed earlier, and it will easily fill up my scene, and I can make some adjustments as well by increasing or decreasing the density of my scatter options. So if we go back to our scene, which is the scene 34, currently some of the trees are blocking the current view. So what we can do is just double click on the tree, hold control and select the other trees. And what it will do is it will highlight all of those trees that we wanted to remove from the scatter, press done, and it will be grouped together. And we can now just move this onto the left side and go back to the scene 34 and make some other final adjustments as well. So now the trees doesn't fully block our scene, and with this, we are now ready to add in some custom materials inside D5 Render. So let's say, for example, I wanted to replace this wooden material inside D5. I can either utilize our online material library, but since my customer or my client really wants a specific material, all I need to do is just press I on my keyboard to open the material picker, select the corresponding material. It will open the inspector tab. So we have access to two options. We have the base color, which allows us to change the color of the material, make it a lot darker, a lot redder, or many more customizations. And most importantly, the base color map, wherein we can just easily import our very own material. So a client of mine wanted to use this low quality wood material. So it looks really low quality, but with the help of AI, I can significantly improve the overall look and feel of that material. All I need to do is just go to the texture enhancer, select the Ultra HD texture. What it will do is it will upscale my material by 2. So I can keep on repeating this process as many times as I want until I reach a 4K quality cap of the material or texture itself. And finally, since our material has some seam line over here, so instead of me going to Photoshop, adjusting, blending together, all I need to do is just select the make seamless, choose the edge that I wanted to. So for this instance, it will be the horizontal edge. And with a click of a button, will generate and also blend together all of those patterns for us. So the same way with Ultra HD texture, we can keep on repeating this process until we reach our desired output or desired result. And finally, since we wanted to have a more realistic material, all we need is the normal roughness and ambient occlusion. So instead of me going to the internet looking for those, I can just select the AI generated texture map. And what it will do is it will generate those texture maps for me, contributing to a higher quality and a better looking material overall. And once I've done all of that, I can make some adjustments to the UV. I can rotate the material and many more further adjustments that can be done. So since I've added in the materials and added in the vegetations, I wanted to create a custom moving vehicle. So all I need to do is go over to the pad tool, select a vehicle. So for this one, I'll selecting this new energy car. And once selected, all we need to do now is just create a path altogether. And it will give me a moving vehicle. I can make some adjustments, increasing the density, so on and so forth, adjusting the lane, making it from single to dual, increasing the width, direction also, and finally the speed itself. And with this, I can just turn on the light and let's go back to my scene 34. So once I've done all of the parameters wherein I have the vegetation, the materials, and also the assets, let us now proceed to the environment and effect. So with the environment and effect, if I were to do this manually to create a beautiful one or just from a reference image, it will take me 10 to 15 minutes to adjust all of these parameters. So what I can do is just select the AI atmosphere match, upload a reference image. So let's say, for example, I wanted to replicate this kind of render, this kind of parameters. Just press open, snap the current view, and click on start generating. So in less than a second, D5 detected all of the necessary information from the image. And once we select apply, in less than 10 seconds, D5 will automatically apply all of those parameters from our reference image as well. So instead of me adjusting and doing all of the hard work, which takes 10 to 15 minutes, in less than a minute, I now have fully copied a parameter just from a reference image. And once it has applied the parameters from my reference image, all I can do now is just close this out and make some fine tuning adjustment, such as adjusting the exposure, adjusting the white balance, and also some other parameters that I can play around with. So since we already have created the parameters, the environment and effect, the vegetation, custom moving cars, and also the people, the next and final stage would be rendering the image. So all we need to do is just go onto the image exportation tab. So with this, you can treat this as a camera, but since I have already adjusted the camera option inside my scene, I can just keep this as is and just select any preset size. So I can render this up to 16K resolution or just 4K for a faster and easier preview. I can also toggle in the channel option. So with the channels, we have sky mask, ambient occlusion, material ID. These are really useful if you are into post-production with third-party softwares. But with D5's AI features, which I'll be showcasing next, this will no longer be necessary. And finally, under the format, I can render a PNG, JPEG, TGA, TIF, or RAW. And once I've done all of this, I can now just select the render icon and D5 will fully render it out. And once rendered out, I can now proceed to the next set of AI features, which is what we call the AI post-processing. If I were to select the AI post-processing, it will automatically detect my pre-rendered images. So with this, I have rendered this before. So let's open this image altogether. So under the AI post-processing, there are three AI features included. The first one is what we call the AI enhancer. So what this does is it significantly enhances the overall look and feel of our image, making it a lot more realistic and lifelike. Comparing this to other AI websites for AI softwares, with D5's AI enhancer, you can adjust how much the AI will take effect onto the image. We can also specify which parts we wanted to enhance. So let's say, for example, I am completely satisfied with my facade. I can just select the sky, the vegetations, and just select AI enhancer, and D5 will only enhance these certain areas. So to show you what AI enhancer looks like, I do have here some sample already done. So let's take a closer look with the before and after shot. So with the before shots, it looks already good, especially the vegetation, but we can significantly enhance the overall feel of the vegetation, making it a lot more lifelike. So just some before and after shots together with the characters and also the vehicles, just some before and after shots. Also, you might be wondering why my character and my vehicle is motion blurred. We can easily adjust that inside D5 render, so we no longer need to go to Photoshop to do that. All we need to do is go to the effects and under the motion blur tab, just specify which contents we wanted to. So for this case, I'll be selecting the vehicle and also the character. And with this, just adjust the weight and D5 will automatically create a motion blurred character and also vehicle for us, saving us a lot of time going back and forth to other 3D or other post-production softwares. So that is D5's AI enhancer, which significantly enhances the overall look and feel of our image. This also works really well with interior projects. So let me show you an example. Just open. So with interior project, it also works really well. It upscales the material. So if we take a closer look with this image, it already looks good, but with the help of AI enhancer, it significantly upscales it. So just some before and after shots altogether. As I've mentioned earlier, we can adjust how much the AI will take effect, but even with the low option, it still significantly makes it a whole lot better. So that is the AI enhancer inside D5 Render. So the next feature under the AI post-processing is what we call AI style transfer. So with the AI style transfer, just from a single rendered image, we can now create multiple outputs. We can create some stylized ones such as watercolor, cartoon, pencil sketch, pen sketch, marker drawing, scale model, or voxel style. But most importantly is what's under the realistic tab. So again, just from a single rendered image, we can now create a sunset option, night, spring, autumn, and also winter style effect. The same way with AI Enhancer, we can also adjust how much the AI will take effect and also how much it will retain the structure or just match the structure that we have in our model. So to show you an example of what AI transfer looks like, I have some prepared already here. So with this one, it is created for winter style. So again, just some before and after shots. So I no longer need to manually do all of the parameters and re-render the whole image. I can let D5 generate it for me. Also, another example would be nighttime. So with the nighttime, just before and after shots as well. So that is D5's AI style transfer. And for the last part of the AI post-processing, it is what we call in painting. So in painting allows us to paint over the sky, the water, the vegetation, and also the characters. So this is a really useful tool in the early stages of the project. We're in, let's just go to a different example. So we're in the early stages of the project. I can now focus all my attention onto the architecture building. As you can see with this image over here, it doesn't have any vegetation and also the water looks pretty stale. So with the help of in painting, we can just easily paint it over, submit this in the first development or the first draft of our projects. So it will save us a lot of time altogether rather than us adding in the vegetations one by one, consuming additional hardware space also. Another good example is this image over here, just some before and after shots altogether. So that is the power of in painting in D5 render, which is really useful in the early stages of the project. And as for the character in painting, one of the hardest part inside the 3D rendering software is that the characters doesn't look realistic. So if we take a closer look with my character on this area, it doesn't look that realistic. So what we can do is once we have rendered the image, we can now just select the in painting and just select the character. It will paint it over and make it a lot more realistic. So to show you a close up example of that, I do have here. So if we take a closer look with this man, he is very low quality. So instead of me going to Photoshop, adjusting it, or placing a high quality character, I can let D5 in painting generate a better looking character. The same way with this character over here. And another example would be this image over here. So if we take a closer look with these two characters, they look already good, but they're not realistic and also they look lifeless. So with the help of character in painting, it will significantly improve the overall look and feel of the character without losing the character's facial definition, the character's race. So if we compare this software to other AI websites, sometimes it completely changes the whole look of the characters that we have added in. But with the help of character in painting, we can retain all of those information inside D5 and just overall improve the look and feel of these characters. So that is D5 renders character in painting. And for the last AI feature inside D5 render, since I have already done the post processing, let me just show you a bonus AI feature, which is what we call the text to 3D option inside D5. So right next to our assets tab, we have here the text to 3D. So this is a really useful tool to populate our scene with custom 3D objects, wherein all we need to do is just type in a negative prompt. So for negative prompt, you just need to add in what you want to exclude from the generated models. Choose from a wide range of styles, may it be realistic, PBR, cartoon, sculpture, low poly, or voxel style. So for an example, let's say I wanted to create a panda in a Superman coat, which if I were to create this 3D model by myself, it will take me a very long time to do so, and I might not be able to do it as well. But with the help of D5's text to 3D, I can just easily generate it. So what it looks like, I do have here a sample already ready to showcase to you. So with this, I created a panda and a Superman coat, and I can now just easily reuse this and add this to my scene. And I now have a panda and a Superman coat altogether. Another example would be the 16th century classical chair. It's a really hard model to do by myself if I'm not very good at furniture design. But with the help of D5's text to 3D, I can just generate it and place it onto my scene. And since it's a little bit larger, I can also make it smaller by adjusting the size altogether. So this is the text to 3D feature inside D5 Render, which allows us to type in a prompt under 500 characters, a negative prompt the same way, and choose from a wide range of style. And if we wanted to have very similar result every single time, we can just turn in the fixed seed, type in a seed, and once you typed in a seed, so any prompt that you're going to do, as long as you have the same seed, you will have a very similar output altogether. So with this, all of this AI feature contributes to how easy it is to create a visualization inside D5 Render. It will significantly save you a lot of time. So in a case study done by our users in the United States, it saved them around 80% time spent using D5 Render. So that is all for today's demonstration. And if you have any question, we can now proceed to the question and answer portion.
Thanks, Aaron. Really appreciate it. Tell me, where can somebody go if they'd like to learn a little bit more on how to use D5 Render?
Okay, so if you guys wanted to learn D5 Render, there's a lot of resources. The number one resource area that you can easily go to in order to use D5 and learn D5 is just right across the YouTube space. So all we need to do is just type in D5 Render. So we have a very active D5 page with a lot of tutorials that you can search. So if we go under the playlist tab, you can have access to all of the tutorials inside D5 Render and also under the videos tab as well. So as you can see, we are very active in adding in some informations and tutorials as well. And another area, if you wanted to learn in D5 Render, would be our Scene Express. So under the D5 Render forum, we do have a lot of scenes that you can easily play around with. So here's an example for ArchiCAD. All you need to do is just download the link and you can have the same output as this ones. And all of this are free to download and free to learn as well. So these are the resources for you guys to fully learn D5 Render.
Awesome, that's great. I don't know if you want to tackle this, but Johan Sneeman is asking about cost. Is that something you want to cover today, Aaron?
Okay, yeah, certainly. So if we go on to the pricing tab, so we have three versions of D5 Render. So first we have the community version. So community version is just the free to use. So this is the bare bones. So you can render images, but you cannot use the features that I have showcased earlier. So we do have now two paid versions. The first is the Pro, and the next one is the Themes. So the first one is the Pro, which contains all of the features that I have showcased earlier. And as for the Themes, it contains additional features which are targeted for collaboration. So what it means is, let me just go to the five themes. So what it means is you can now work simultaneously on a project at the same time. So here are some additional features inside D5 for Teams, which is targeted for collaboration. You can now create your own custom 3D library. So if you have custom 3D models, you can easily save this on your team library and any of your team member can freely use. We do also have the multi-editor editing, which is the main feature. So it allows the project file to be divided into multiple options. So you can now have someone to work on interior design, architecture, landscape, and many more. So essentially, the main difference between the Pro and the Teams version is that the Pro version is for freelancers, small architectural firms, while Teams is targeted for collaboration with medium to large architectural firms. And as for the main question, which is the pricing, it is available on this page over here.
Right, thank you. Is there anything else? Perhaps we've got somebody here who already uses D5 and is interested in asking specific questions. I see here Stefan Smits is asking the minimum graphic card requirements.
Okay, so for the minimum requirements of D5 render, so if we go to D5 minimum requirements, if we take a closer look, our minimum required graphics card is a GTX 1060, which is around 9 years old as for today. But yeah, again, as I've mentioned, this is for the minimum, but we do highly suggest that if you were to use D5, it's highly advisable to use RTX graphics cards. If we take a closer look with this one, it is a GTX. So anything with RTX with it will work perfectly fine for D5 render.
All right, thank you. All right, so are there any other questions? Anything at all? Johan, he highlighted it on the page. It was, I think it was free for the basic. Um, I've got another one here from Duncan. How do you
Mhm.
control the AI out on the image enhancer, for example, for multiple images for the same model?
Okay, so for that one, we can just go back to T5 and onto the AI post processing. So for the AI enhancer, the only option that we can do is just adjusting the enhancement weight. But for the AI style transfer, we can now also just toggle this in the same way. Another option would be adjusting the transfer weight. So similar transfer weight will equate to a similar output across multiple images. And finally, under the in painting tab, so if I were to select the vegetation, so if we also wanted to have very similar vegetation all across different images, we can just toggle this option, turn on the seed, copy this option. So every time we do an in painting, all we need to do is just paste the same seed and it will produce us the same kind of output every single time. So that is how we're able to control the AI features inside D5's post processing. Hopefully that answers your question.
I see another question here from Stefan Smits. He's asking if you edit views in D5, will it update the same camera views in ArchiCAD?
Okay, that is actually a very good question. So to answer that, it will not, since D5 is a standalone software. So what you send to D5 render will only stay for D5 render. So if I were to adjust the materials, adjust the camera positions, it will not take effect onto my ArchiCAD. So it only works one way. So it will only be from ArchiCAD to D5 render, and it will not be D5 render back to ArchiCAD. So this ensures me that there won't be any changes to my ArchiCAD model altogether.
Okay, thank you. And just to cover this with other software, is it a single direction with SketchUp, Revit, and the
Yes,
other?
correct.
Okay. Duncan is asking, how do you control the lighting in D5? For example, the brightness, the light color, etc.
Mhm. Okay, no problem. Let me just go on to an interior scene to showcase to you how we can add in lighting options. And let me just adjust this to a darker scene and adjust the exposure as well. Okay, so with lighting, we can easily just add in lights inside D5 so I can create spotlights. So once I have created a spotlight, if we take a further look on the right side, we can now adjust the intensity, makes this a little bit lighter, adjust the cone angle, adjust the attenuation radius, and many more adjustments. And if we wanted it to be warmer, we can also adjust the temperature. And also, most importantly, if we wanted to replicate a light option or a light, we can also utilize IES profiles. So we do have some default IES profiles, but we can freely import custom IES profile in order for us to accurately get similar lighting options as well. So the same settings can be done onto the other light options such as the point lights, strip lights, rectangular lights.
Thank you. Just following on relating to the lighting, if any IES lighting products were imported from ArchiCAD, will you have access to editing them here in D5?
Okay, yep. So once you go back to ArchiCAD and just transfer and sync the light, so any settings within the light parameters from our ArchiCAD will be directly transferred to D5 render. And let me just check if this 3D model has the same light options. Yes, it does. Let me just adjust this. So if I were to select a lighting options, if we take a closer look on the bottom left, it grouped it all together. So if I were to select one, I can also make some adjustments onto the same lighting options. So it just creates a separate lighting entity inside D5.
Awesome, that's great. The next question was, can you import the hierarchy of your ArchiCAD model into D5 in order to hide certain layers, for example?
Okay, so what you can do is, since you are utilizing the live sync functionality, so I am not sure if you can hide custom layers from ArchiCAD since I am not that adept with ArchiCAD, but if you can hide custom layers inside your ArchiCAD model, and if you are using the live sync functionality, it will also be instantly reflected back to D5 render. The same way with others 3D modeling softwares wherein if you turn off a layer, it will also be reflected back to D5 render.
Perfect. All right, so that's a yes, Stefan. Mr. Mashego is asking, can one create light boxes?
Okay, so with light boxes, let me just go back to the camera one and adjust the lighting back to a darker scene. So I am not sure with what you specifically meant with the light box. We do have rectangular light. So with this, we can just adjust this back over here. And there is an option to show the light shape as well. So hopefully this is what you are looking for. But if it is not, do let me know.
Mr. Mashego, let us know if that is what you were looking for.
Or alternatively, if I think you are referring to as well to a point light wherein with the point light it shoots to all direction. So hopefully either one of this does answer the question you have in mind as well.
All right, we're nearly at the end of our session. Is there any other questions before we close out for today? Stefan is asking, does D5 utilize reflection probes for mirrors, or is it automatic?
Okay, so let's go inside for mirrors, we do have some assets. Let's just go to the material, type in mirror, and with this, I believe it is automatic, but I am completely not sure on what you are referring to as to reflection probes. So we do also have the path tracing option. So if we go to the preference rendering, let me just turn this on. So turning this on will allow us to accurately have a better reflection, better shadow overall. And if we go back to the camera, let me just double check custom settings. So we can adjust the GI precision, reflection depth, SPP. So you can adjust all of these settings once you have the real-time path tracing option. So to answer your question, I am really not sure what you are referring to, but hopefully it does answer the question you have in mind.
Thank you, Aaron. I see another question here asking about the subscription itself. How many people are able to use the software with a single subscription? So do you have
Okay.
to use a named license or is it a shared? How would you describe it?
Okay. So for a single pro license, it will be tied to a single user. So a single pro license can be bound to three different devices, but only a single user can work or use it at a given time.
Okay. All right, so they can use it at home, at work, and on site, but as long as they
Yes.
are signing in with their credentials, they can use it in three different devices.
Yes.
Okay, and then the same would go with the team, correct?
Yes, the same would go with the teams, but there will be a little bit more difference. Wherein with the teams, all of the licenses of your team members will be tied to a single admin email, wherein that admin email will have the full control of who he will give the corresponding license to. So managing the licenses with teams, especially if you are an architectural firm, is a whole lot easier.
Okay. Great. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the session. I see we're about to hit 4 p.m. Thank you so much for your time, Aaron. And I hope that I'm going to hear a lot of you reaching out to us, showing interest in making a purchase. Thanks so much for your time, and
Thank
we'll
you.
see you next month.